Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It is Setup Sunday. Let's take a look at some setups. Voice a little hoarse today. Just promise me that this video won't make it into the training data for the AI that will eventually replace me. But we had some phenomenal ETF flows for BTC last week, second highest ever. I'd say quietly second highest ever. You know, I don't think too many people are necessarily honed in on that if you're not paying attention to ETFs. A week, a trend does not make, but based on everything else, you know, I'd expect continuous flows here throughout October at the very least, maybe into November. Gold is strong. Momentum will help us get more flows as well. And Mag 7 looking kind of weak-ish. We'll take a look at that. It kind of just feels like it's our turn here. Everything moving along as expected. In BTC land on the ETH side, also a decent flow week for ETH. ETH should lag BTC probably a little bit, as it typically does, I think. ETH may get a bigger percentage move at the end of the day eventually, but it's just a matter of personal preference. You know, do you want to trade alts that might move with any size, or would you rather trade the majors on leverage full account? You know, what do you trust here, right? That's a personal decision. Some people like the gamble. Some people would rather wait. Eat the potential opportunity cost. Eat the potential that those alts never move this cycle. Possible, right? There's 1 trillion alts now. Inevitably, some of them aren't going to move, or they aren't going to move until January. So you just have to be aware of that. For me, it's best to just trade the majors and catch the train for low caps when things really start moving. But good sign for ETH flows as well there. Mayor multiple on BTC. Just, you know, look, this is very simple. You ever have a very simple meal? And it's just excellent. You know, you shouldn't need 35 indicators to tell you where we are at in the cycle and if we are overbought or oversold. Some people like MVRV. Here's another one, power law, right? Pick one, doesn't matter. They're all going to tell you about the same thing. We're somewhere in the middle of a range. And the top side here is, in this case, 250, whatever. That's going to keep moving up the slower this goes. You can see we basically stayed in this range. The Mayor multiple's distance from the 200-day moving average, in case you're unclear on that. But if we look at historically, even in 2019, we had a Mayor multiple print that gave you a signal. So this is just another one that's historically done very, very well at highs. At lows, we tend to stay at lows for quite a while. So I don't love it at lows. You know, it would have told you at 38K in 2022 that, oh, look at this, it's a great buy opportunity. Like, maybe, yeah, but, you know, we kept going quite a bit. So not so great at picking the bottoms, but the tops, it tends to be pretty decent. And if we look at this a slightly different way, just based on the Z-score here is 0. So we haven't even started, and that sounds insane to say out loud, but this does not look like anything we've ever seen historically. And you could say, well, we're going to have diminishing returns. This is going to be a muted cycle, whatever. Fine, right? I'm just showing you the data, and this is what I'm using myself. So if and when the time comes, a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, we look at this again, and we are orange and red on the Mayor multiple, you better believe I'm going to be selling. I'm definitely going to be selling. What percentage is up to you, of course, but no guarantee that even this is good at the top. But using, let's say, 5 indicators at most, you know, you should be able to get a pretty good level for yourself, good handle on it. We'll start with IBIT because there is an argument to be made that because of the ETF flows, that's where most of the volume is coming from, because of CME, because of just legacy in general, that maybe IBIT and legacy cloud is more important than what happens on the weekends. We look very good here on IBIT. We're above the cloud, bullish TK cross, inverted head and shoulders breakout. We still have a move, 80 to 92 on a measured move from that April low. And immediately people will ask me, okay, now what do I do? What do I do, right? You know, you don't trade the breakout, probably because you weren't watching it or you didn't believe in it, fine. You either buy 66, you know, bid 66, assuming a pullback to the mean reversion / neckline level, or anything from here to 66, you bid, and then you DCA a stack of it, right? That's always my answer for anybody, not financial advice. DCA plus bids lower. That's it. It's not rocket science. And the third option, of course, is fractal breaches higher, but we don't have any of those yet to even look at. So in the moment, DCA plus bids. That's it. That's all there is to do. A lot of people playing BITU, BITX, leverage, etc. I don't love charting this just because of the vol drag. It'll play out as you'd expect to some degree anyway. You know, you want to see what you always want to see, which is what we're seeing here. Bullish TK cross, price above cloud, bullish cloud, right? All this looks great. Measured move is whatever. But this is what's going to drive BITU, right? It's going to be the IBIT chart. You may get some outperformance on BITX if things get extremely bullish in the futures. On the long end, that's sort of dragging everything with it, but that's kind of an edge case, I think. But BITU looks great. Now, MSTR does not look like BITU, does not look like IBIT. Keep that in mind. And this is a lesson for any alt, any chart, I don't care what it is. It just happens to be MSTR. Like, we have a psychological understanding and a knowledge of where this can go and what this can do and why everybody's looking at this and who's trading this and pensions are buying this, right? We get all that. But the technicals here, even if this does go eventually to 1200 from here, at this very moment says, who cares? You're in the cloud. Fine, right? If you have a system and this does not trigger a buy on your system, why? Right? It just doesn't make any sense. Now, if you want to gamble, fine. Above the cloud, I start to care a little bit more. Above 420, I like it a lot. I don't care about 350 to 420. I care about 420 to some stupid number, 1300, right? It doesn't even matter. Whatever it ends up being, that's what you should care about. Not that I'm telling anybody what to do with their money, but like, who cares, right? Who cares if you get the 5 to 10% down here? You just want to make sure you're in the game on the train when this thing starts to take off. And that's a really lesson for alts as well. You know, who cares if you, who cares if you buy the bottom? It doesn't matter, right? If alts move the way they should late in the cycle, there's plenty to catch on the upside. And here's MSTR or IBIT. Another way, just looking at IBIT is better down here, MSTR is better down here. After this inflection point occurs, you know, like it did post-election, that's when MSTR is definitely better. And we are light years away from that, right? Like, it's not even close. This is underperforming 1x BTC, and it's supposed to be 2x BTC. It's just not doing what it should be doing. And I'm just trying to save as many people as I can here. On the BTC chart, the spot side, again, bullish TK cross, price above cloud, all this good stuff. We made an all-time high yesterday. We're above the yearly pivot there. The measure move on spot BTC is 140 to 160, something like that. Same deal. I like bids at 116. If you're uncomfortable with your size here, I like bids at 122. I like bids at 120. I like anything. Anything in here should be okay. Plus DCA. That's it. That's all you got left, right? Now, if you think this is going to 150, what do you care about 120 to 124? Doesn't matter really the level. We also have a weekly Bollinger Band expansion, which again, I don't think too many people are really talking about or paying attention to. And when we see these historically, it is a large percentage move and a typically long duration. Post-election was 5-6 weeks. Prior to that, when the ETFs launched, it was probably 10 weeks. In 2022 on the downside, it was 10 weeks, right? So these expansions, when they get this tight, don't just stop. They typically keep going. Even if they do stop, even if all of this is wrong, that's not what it's about. It's about being there just in case things happen as they might, right? It was just like the gold trade. It never really looks like much. Even, you know, I've been looking at cloud for close to 15 years and it doesn't look like much, but it's like, okay, bullish TK recross. I know what to do. Boom, load the boat. And here we are X% later. And at this point, gold could go to 4,200, right? Huge TK disequilibrium starting here, not a C-clamp yet, but this is certainly getting overbought for anything, especially gold. And RSI, I don't have it on here, but I'm sure you're starting to get some bearish divergences there. So I'd be careful with fresh longs here up on gold, but there are worse things to be long right now, especially late on, like the quantum stuff or the nuclear stuff. I think that's a little late up here, but this certainly has room to run, and that means BTC has room to run. And Rocket Lab is another one. Again, it doesn't really matter what this is. This has effectively 100% correlation to BTC. So if this looks like bullish continuation, if this looks like it's running all-time highs, which it does to me, if this cloud looks great, I expect BTC to continue. If either one of these starts to look weak, you get divergences, you get patterns, you get a rollover in the TK cross. Time to get out of the pool. But we are not there yet. This looks very strong at all-time highs. Now, as far as the Mag 7, before we talk about alts, there's a little bit of worrying to do here because probably for the first time in a long time, we're starting to see some weakness on a few names that had been strong. Now, oddly, we're seeing some rotating even amongst the Mag 7. So it's not all bad news. NVIDIA looks fine here. You know, it looks similar to Rocket Lab at all-time highs. I think collectively, fresh positions are better elsewhere. Meta looks easily the worst. Bearish in the cloud here. Probably going to get a bearish TK cross fairly shortly. This does not look like it wants to go higher. Netflix does not look like it wants to go higher. You've got Adam and Eve, you've got Head and Shoulders, all bad, right? And the reason it's important to sort of pay attention to what these 7 are doing is because they are a majority of the market. They're a majority of the S&P. We tend to correlate with the S&P and the Qs. So as long as not all of these are rolling over at the same time as we're trying to break out, it should be fine. And I think that's where we are here now. Amazon, neutral, not exactly super bullish on the TA. Would love to see this pull back up to 230. Just super choppy. Tesla, this trade played out beautifully. I don't think there's anything to do here. If anything, into 2026, maybe you get a cup and handle yet to be formed. This whole thing's a massive cup. This whole thing that I'm calling a cup is a broader handle on a multi-year cup and handle. You know, it's cup and handleception over here, but I don't think there's anything to do on Tesla either. Google looks fine, but fresh trades up here, no. So where is the outperformance going to come from is the question. We don't need to continue to see S&P all-time highs. Apple looks good up here. Maybe a little bit of a low time frame rising wedge. We don't need to continue to see all-time highs, but we just don't need all of these, like 93% of the market, right, by market cap to roll over. It's not exactly 93% by market cap, but it's a lot. Microsoft, oddly, kind of looks like ETH a little bit. You're getting bullish TK recross, potentially. So there's trades to be made here. You know, if you're holding Tesla, you could rotate into Microsoft. If you're holding Meta or Netflix, there are other things to do here in the Mag 7, which is good news. It's not all moving together. And this is the ETF, Mags. Fresh positions up here, I don't think so. Kind of double toppy, if anything. Not exactly bearish, but where's the expected move here, right? So just something to pay attention in the periphery, because we certainly, on the crypto side, have been correlated to equities. And for ETH, it's all about IWM. And the good news for the Russell 2000 zombie companies, this certainly looks like it's ready to eventually continue. You know, whether or not you get a move 230 to 240, sort of a little cup and handle thing. This whole thing can be considered a cup and handle. All of this looks great for eventual continuation. It's just up a lot super quickly. And the same can be said about ETH. All of this looks great for continuation. Is it a 10x, 20x, 50x long today? That's a tough sell for me. You've got a bearish TK cross here. This should crisscross soon, probably within the next 2 weeks. But for me in my system, it just says wait. It just says wait, trade something else, trade BTC. But the good news is IWM looks like it certainly wants to continue. And for those trading 2x ETH, same deal. You know, it's a very simple trade here. Bullish TK recross, price above cloud, love it. Until then, not for me. So it's pretty black and white. That's what you want. Now, as far as alts, again, it depends. Some people like certain things, don't like others. Some people like to chase. Some people like to sit in junk for years and never make money. That's up to them, okay? But if we're trying to put the cloud onto some alts here, you get mixed signals. Obviously, there's a trillion alts again. You're going to see all sorts of stuff. I think Hype also needs a bullish TK recross. Again, this is a black and white trade. This has been bullish since 21. You're at 48. Great percentage move. If this really is bullish, it should be very easy to get the continuation set up. I just think it's going to take a little time. It may take 2 weeks, may take a month. We're just not there yet. If I had to throw some money guessing at some places where charts look interesting, it would be stuff that looks like this. It would not be stuff that looks like Link or ENA or Curve. Anything that's already moved that isn't back at highs, I think it's a little early. Anything that's done nothing since December and has bottomed out, I think it's worth a shot. Now, there are probably 20 to 50 versions of this chart. Why one or the other? Couldn't give you a good answer. I just know this is one of the better ones that I've seen over the past week. Beam, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Aptos, similar, breaking above the cloud. The goal here isn't to necessarily be right. It isn't necessarily to pick the 5 best. It's to just hopefully be in a position when it moves. That's it. We're saying, look, all of these have a shot. Some of these may die. Some of them may 10x. Don't know. Now, I doubt any of them 10x's from here, but charts that look like this tend to do better than charts that don't. OP is another one, just below the neckline there. DYDX just below the neckline. So waiting may make sense for some people. Wormhole has done well. Waiting may make sense. Rotating into some of this from profit taking on majors may make sense. Dot, another one. It's up to you. But there's certainly plenty of stuff to watch. Shib, I think, of the memes, maybe has one of the better setups outside of Doge, but it's going to take some time, you know. But mapping this stuff out now for November, December, January will make it super easy when you're rotating out of BTC or ETH. You know, ETH hasn't moved yet, right? So why trade alts or memes or whatever, like way down the stack? I think it's just a little early. You just need to be in position, in my opinion, in case something like Bitfarms happens, in case something like IREN happens. You know, these are specific successful moves that have happened on the back of a market narrative where everyone's throwing money at data centers right now. But there will be a time when I'm sure everyone's throwing money at alts. It's just a little early. And the quantum stuff, this is a quantum ETF. I would just be careful as prices get higher and higher. People tend to expand their upside targets, you know, and they get delusions of grandeur and they oversize, over leverage. And you get this risk of like the Tesla chart, if I can find it here, where it looks good, looks great, it hits the target, and it just all collapses sort of in a day or two, right? Now, I'm not going to say it's going to deflate instantly in a day, but super high volatile stuff that has been running hot for a minute is certainly on the riskier side of that. Things that are up hundreds and thousands of % on the year, yes, they can continue. I don't think they are shorts, but I would be very, very careful expecting huge continuation moves on some of that stuff. That's all for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.